Hello, YouTube land, and welcome to the Get In and Get Out Nintendo podcast. I am your host, Dantes. And joining me, like always, Caleones. A little bit of weird, out of practice, guys. We haven't been doing this in a while. A lot of issues going on. Where I had some family issues. Caleones has some family issues, and we haven't been able to do this for a while. But we're back today. Now, admittedly, we're back today, but there's going to be a lot of restructuring in the channel. A lot of restructuring, I would say. So stay tuned for that. Welcome, Nintendo Zone and X-Gunner. Welcome, welcome. But yes, like I was saying, a little bit of house cleaning. There's going to be some changes. And basically, we'll probably announce it during this week, but some shows may change the name. Like Streaming Wednesdays may now be called Nintendo Wednesdays. And some streamlining of the schedule for the shows may happen too. But at least some minor good news. If you guys like Xenoblade, Xenoblade Mondays is back for at least 2 months. I have recorded a lot of videos today for challenge mode. Edited 4 videos today. And I will be posting those. And basically the purpose why I'm back with Xenoblade Mondays is that I wanted to show and explain how to beat challenge mode without having a powerful build on the teams. Everybody's doing it with New Game Plus and, you know, kicking some ass. There's some great strategies out there that you can beat challenge mode really fast if you are overpowered, right? But in my case, I wasn't overpowered, so I had to use my wits, let me put it that way, to beat challenge mode, which I did. And right now, then, with challenge mode, I want to show and cherish those strategies, of course, with you guys. But anyway, without that house cleaning out of the way, Caleones, how you doing in this beautiful, beautiful day?
Well, how you doing, Dantes? How you doing, everybody? To the Nintendo Zone, X-Gunner, Margie, welcome to the chat. And yeah, I mean, it's been, I guess, a pretty hectic, last 2 weeks. Like something like, family, gets on the way of life. So of course, we had to tend to certain things, the both of us. But well, everything is good. Everything's better, and hopefully we can continue now with the schedule. And like Dante said, expect some changes. So hopefully, but once we do those changes, it'll, like he said, more streamlined, and it'll be better for you guys, so you don't have to be worrying about like when a video might be popping up, what kind of content you can expect on certain days. So you know exactly what you will be getting whenever you come over to our channel. But yes, Dantes, that's I guess it for now. You can go ahead and take it away.
Okay. No midnight. Howdy. Yes, I did get a haircut, and no beer challenge for 2 weeks. Done with beer. We're streamlining everything. Even my beer belly is gonna get streamlined. So this is how hardcore we're gonna get in this channel going forward. But anyway, with that said, Caleones, let's do that sweet rigmarole. I'm gonna do it quick because we've been a little bit slow with the start of the show, because today's gonna be an interesting show. Today we may have some fanboys wars. We shall see how the show takes off today. But interesting. But let's do that sweet ass rigmarole. I want to welcome everybody to the Get In and Get Out Nintendo podcast, episode 50, Caleones. 50 episodes right here at the Force In Unison gaming channel. Please remember to subscribe, like, and comment so you can make these two crazy MFs happy. Also remember, hey, you can get this podcast on SoundCloud and iTunes for free. Rate us over there so you can show up some love. Also, go to the schedule box below. Well, anyway, that may change. Ignore it for today. Let's just go and jump and say we have a Facebook page called @Force In Unison Gaming. And finally, and Dantes says finally, go to chiguerosnews.com and back and stronger than ever to give some clicks and love to my boy Caleones. With all that said, are you ready? I said, are you ready? For the no one in attendance and the no one watching around the world, because I don't have a monitor today to monitor shit. Let's get ready for Reggie's Hot Topics of the Week.
My body is ready.
My body is ready, Caleones. let me start. I'm gonna kind of take it away today a little bit, just a little bit. Just give me a second. But first,
I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to take the words out of my mouth by going first. But yeah,
no. I just wanted to be quick. Explain something. Since the last 2 weeks, we haven't done the show in 2 weeks because of all the issues. We're not gonna have news bursts. There's not gonna be news bursts today. Every topic that I gave Caleones today are discussion topics. I didn't put small news. I said, okay, what were the biggest news on the last 2 weeks? And then we're going to hit that. That's what I wanted to say. And the first piece of news to clarify in the topic discussion of this week is Shawn Layden comments, which I will show on the screen. And Caleones, if you allow me, I will say verbatim what he said, and then I'll drop the floor for you so you can, you mentioned that you wanted to talk about it, and I want to open the floor for you. But I want to show the peeps what he said. Let me click on it. Which button is it? Is number 9? Here it is. It's right on the screen, people. I'm the model. I mean, you guys can see it. There it is. It's right in the middle. There you go. And basically, here was what happened. In an interview with Venture Beat, Chairman of Sony Worldwide Studios, Shawn Layden, was asked about the company first-party output. He responded, can be seen a bit of a dig at Nintendo. I didn't saw it that way, but we shall see what Caleones. As Layden says, they have the right amount of first-party output in order to both woo fans and keep third parties happy. This is exactly what he said. For Worldwide Studios now, our output, the number of teams we have, I think is about the right size for what we need to do. We never going to be like Nintendo, holding the lion's share of the Nintendo platform game business, because that's not the way we work. We want to make the PlayStation platform available to all our third-party partners. I think we built success for PlayStation by getting as many people inside the tent, basically orgy, inside the tent as possible. They aren't necessarily controlled by Worldwide Studios. Okay, Caleones, I'm going to take the quote out on the screen so it doesn't bother you. Boom, it's gone. The floor is yours, my friend.
Okay, so I guess it's just to summarize all of it and put it together in like one quick sentence. Sony said Nintendo is better than us in first-party games. That's what they said. That's clearly what they said. And they and the way they're
clear to me as mud. Oh my God, I'm so clear.
Well, it's the Sony's CEO. So
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
PlayStation CEO.
Yeah,
so,
sure. That's what he meant. Yeah, sure. Go ahead, keep going.
And of course, and then it was to bring excuses as to why it is that Nintendo has the better libraries, and it is that we are purposely not trying to make as many games as Nintendo, because one, we can't compete with them, and two, because that way other games can breed and do better than just being Nintendo games only on the platform. So I think this is something that it probably would have been taken a little bit differently during the Wii U era, but certainly not during the Switch era. And how third-party games are doing much better this time around. But yeah, I mean, I know that he is trying to take a dig at Nintendo and trying to just take a quick jab by saying that Nintendo is galvanizing themselves by having a bigger output of first-party games, and that basically those are the only games that people, Nintendo fans, buy. And like I said, that's been the case before with other consoles, but it is not the case right now on the Switch. So that's my take from it. That's what I read from it. If you ask many of my friends, most of whom are Nintendo fans, they're going to tell you the same thing. So,
well, you see what you see, but that's fine. It's all good. Keep going, Caleones.
But yeah, but I mean, that's I'm just gonna say that up front. Just wait for you. And right now, I just wanted to make a quick mention with the haircut. Right now, Dantes has the Colin haircut, and I have the Gret haircut. So it seems like that's how we're kind of like, I don't know, like we need to make a little bit of change. Yeah, but
okay, whatever. Anyway, I'm not gonna touch that one. Okay, I'll say this. I know you consider me a Nintendo Sony fan, right, Caleones? You think that I'm a huge Sony fanboy, probably, right?
Well, I mean, if people were to look at your older videos, then I don't know, like
No, but at that time it was a fun battle between Microsoft. Never took a dig at Nintendo. See my videos. Even one of the other videos, to clarify, I gave Nintendo the win in that year E3, which was 2009, Caleones. Ooh, look at that. Can you do that, Caleones? Can you give props to Sony? No. I have never seen you give props to Sony in a video. But anyway, aside from that, let's go back to this sentence or comment. I seen on Twitter a lot of Nintendo fanboys taking offense by the comments. I was like, wow, they're taking a dig at Nintendo. I feel so offended. Weren't those same Nintendo fans celebrating Nintendo and Microsoft taking a dig at Sony? The hypocrisy! They cannot take a dig at Nintendo, but we can take a dig at Sony.
Well, it's not Sony is taking a dig at their own players.
I am not
Sony's
done. I am not done. Give me a second to finish, and I'll let you talk, my friend. Take it easy. I didn't interrupted you. Let me breathe, Caleones. Breathe. Breathe. There you go. The baby's coming. The baby's coming. Anyway, but you can take a dig at Sony. And I'll say this. I'll put it this way. If you were a Sony fan who were laughing at IGN posts taking a dig at Microsoft, but got mad when Microsoft took a dig at Sony for the crossplay, you're a hypocrite. If you're a Nintendo fan who got mad because you feel that Shawn Layden took a dig at Nintendo, which I didn't saw it, but that's fine, and you were happy when they did the crossplay and the amount of attacks that Reggie and on Twitter, the Nintendo and Microsoft were doing back at Sony, you're a hypocrite. Pure and simple, Caleones. And this is what I love about this. It's what I love. I like this. This brings back the good old days. That Sega do what Nintendo don't. We need more of this shit. This is like wrestling, Caleones. I am sick and tired of PC bullshit where the two companies are just, let's hold hands. Oh, Sony, let's celebrate God of War Metacritic score. Oh, nice. Come on, guys. This is how it needs to be. This is the good old days. Let's have some fun. Let's take some digs. Hey, Sony took that dig when Microsoft made that mistake about online checks and how to sell games, use games. Didn't Sony take a dig? They took really nice advantage of it. That's how it needs to be, Caleones. Have some fun. Don't get offended. If you get offended because of comments that you've seen in the past for one company doing to another, you need a hobby. You need a new hobby, Caleones. You just need a new hobby. If you're sleeping at night, you're like, oh my God, what did Sony said about Nintendo? You need a new hobby. You need a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whatever. Anyway, aside from that rant about fanboys in general, not taking a dig at anyone specific, let's go what I think about the statement, Caleones. I don't think there was a dig at all. I think what he was trying to explain.
So that was actually not the explanation. So you're not done yet.
No, I'm not done. This rant is going.
Oh, okay.
No, first I was just having fun with the issue. Now I'm just gonna explain what I feel. But in my opinion, Shawn Layden was just explaining the difference between Sony and Nintendo. Nintendo on first party depends a lot on their inner studios. They're learning, and you have to admit it, like deals with Ubisoft, they're learning to use third parties for IPs that they own this generation. That's when they're starting to learn to use other assets, because if the Wii U proves something, if the N64 proves something, if the GameCube proves something, is that you alone cannot carry a system with your exclusives. You cannot do that. The Wii was an outlier. That is the case because Grandma and Papa was buying the Wii. But the Switch, I consider, is the first hardcore system that has been successful by Nintendo since the N64. And the reason I say this, Caleones, is the data is there. I'm not talking fanboy and shit. The data is there. Software is selling on the Switch. Software did not sell on the Wii, even though Wii was the most successful console that generation. The most successful platform that sold was the Xbox and then PlayStation. The Wii was third in software sales in general. So my point to that, Caleones, was because the Wii sold to the grandma, to the daddy. Anyway, with that said, now Nintendo, learning the lessons from the past, making the deals, making digs, which is fine. That's the Nintendo I want to see. I want to see a Nintendo who wants to compete. I don't want to see a Nintendo that keeps saying BS. No, we don't compete with anyone. BS. You are competing against Sony. You are competing against Microsoft. Now, I'll touch the point of crossplays later on in the next discussion because the next news is going to be about crossplay. But my point is Sony was just explaining how they're different, how the many years that Sony has been successful has not been on the back of first party. It's been on the back of deals that they made. PlayStation 1 was successful because of nice deals and the N64 being so hard-headed that they wanted to do a cartridge, but making the deals that they needed to do to make successful. Now, they built studios where I believe Sony can compete with Nintendo. Maybe they're not there. Maybe they're not the best. Maybe there is. Maybe they're not. I do not know. Objectively, I can say that I love both of them and both of their outputs with their first-party studios. But admittedly, Sony does make good deals. Bloodborne is a perfect example of good deals, Caleones, that lead to something amazing. But there's also good deals like at the Order 1886 that leads to bad shit. Shit can happen. But Nintendo is learning now. They're using Ubisoft. And I said many times in this podcast, Caleones, that Nintendo needs to take advantage. They can give IPs like Metroid. Imagine you give Metroid to, I don't know, just give you an example, Rocksteady. I know that it's not going to happen. But imagine if you give a deal, say Rocksteady, Warner Brothers, I want to make a deal. I want you guys to make the next Metroid. Wouldn't that Metroid look beastly? Caleones, this is the same people who did one of my favorite franchises this generation, last generation, was the Batman Arkham games, right? I am all for that. And Nintendo can take advantage of those things because they cannot build. They have a lot of IPs, Caleones. They cannot make them all at the same time. And there's a lot of things like F-Zero that hasn't seen a game in daylight in many, many moons. Hey, give it to the people who did the first game that came out on the Switch launch, which was the RFX, Max, whatever. But anyway, I am done, Caleones. Your floor is yours with your answers.
Okay, so I mean, like I said, I was not losing any sleep. I was just glad and at peace, just saying, well, Sony conceded. Nintendo's the best when it comes to first party, and there's nothing else that needs to be talked about. But
well, since you said that, one point quickly.
Yeah.
I went back 6 years, Metacritic. 2012, Nintendo won. 2013, Sony won. 2014, Sony won. 2015, Nintendo won. 2016, Sony won. 2017, Nintendo won. That looks pretty balanced to me, Caleones. Just saying. But keep going. You keep saying that Nintendo is the best, but keep going, please.
Well, I mean, I would say it would be more balanced if Microsoft was included as part of it as well. But
they didn't want a single year of those. But anyway, that's fine.
But when it comes to the hypocrisy, you have to also take into account who's the person saying it, and it is Shawn Layden saying it. And I know that he's not necessarily one of your favorite people at Sony.
Don't care. Don't have much feeling for him, but it's all good.
Yeah, but
he's not Ryan, like Ryan guy, the UK guy. That's a dig hole. But anyway, keep going.
But something I will concede is that yes, it is fun as long as it's made in good fun, because there's good when it comes to the console wars, there's bad when it comes from it, and when you start getting things like, I mean, like Gaff going through hell, Reset Era taking a step backwards when it comes to it, Gamer Gators and things like that, taking it to the extreme. And of course, we're not even talking about the PC Master Race either. So that's a whole nother level to it. But yeah, I mean, I'll concede that it is healthy when there's those little fun jabs and things like that. But the what I'll say is, and this is about the cross platform one, is that one, I think the jab that they took is more important because it can actually result in a positive change, and that's something that we'll talk about later on. But it's fun. We all have our favorites. We all have our favorite sports teams that we root for. Right now, like half an hour ago, I just became a fan of the Los Angeles Lakers because LeBron James signed a 4-year deal with them. So now I'm not only a Cavaliers fan because I'm from Cleveland, but since I'm a LeBron's fan, I just became a Lakers fan. So yeah, so it's always fun that you have something to root for, and I'm just glad that they actually can. I mean, both fan bases can have something to root for because Nintendo has been doing so great since the Switch launch, and of course, the second half of the PS4 life of the system has been exceptional with the releases because, like you said, the PlayStation always starts really slow and then it builds momentum, and now it is on that momentum. But yeah, I think that's nothing really really that needs to be said. But I took it in a positive way. The comment. I don't like I said lose any sleep or anything like that.
So to clarify, X-Gunner was saying that I didn't saw that you posted the link. I saw when you posted the link, which is fine. You guys can watch it. It's old school, baby. And that was one of the best videos that I did, editing-wise. Made me all the talent that you can see. And I brought my talents to Force In Unison, just saying. But anyway, with that said, the only thing I would say that you said that Shawn Layden, look at the hypocrisy because Shawn Layden says the comment. I just don't see what's bad about the comment. Explain to me, Caleones, why is it a dig at Nintendo? That's the part that I'm not following from Nintendo fans in this issue. It's why is it a dig to Nintendo? I just don't see it. I just see it as he explaining the difference how Sony does business and how Nintendo does business.
Well, I think it could have just been by omitting the name. Just by omitting the name of the company, I mean, how many companies out there have a strong first-party output like they do? I mean, the only ones are going to be Nintendo.
Hey, 1 second, we got someone new. Hey, what up? I cannot pronounce it. 3A? Dungozo. I know your name is Peter. Peter, your name going forward now is Peter. Welcome to the chat. Please subscribe, like, and comment. Anyway, Kali, let's keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, so welcome, Peter, and tell us about your console choice. And if it's Nintendo, then congratulations. But
it means you like The Last Jedi. Anyway, keep going.
No, it means you hated it. But but yeah, I guess we can just go ahead and continue to move on to, after this. But yeah, guys, stay here. If we offended you by saying that we didn't like The Last Jedi, don't take it the wrong way. We just respect Star Wars.
Hey, Peter, if you're a happy person, it's all good. You can be here. Everybody is welcome here, happy or not. Anyway, with that said, I'll say this. You mentioned that he could have omitted Nintendo name, which is fine. He could have. But again, I think he was just explaining how Nintendo does business compared to Sony. That is it. Sony built PlayStation on the back of third party. I don't deny that at all. Nintendo built their empire on the back of Nintendo games. I also don't deny that. Even though Sony has a lot of history in the console, the reason Sony has won that many generations against Nintendo when they have gone head to head, you have to admit this, is because Sony has a lot of priority that adds by the third-party support that they get. It is what it is. It is what it is, and that's fine. And I don't care. Sony now, I would say they have taken their stride during the PlayStation 3 era. In my opinion, I think the PlayStation 3 era was even better and exclusive, the PlayStation 4. And, kind of like say that generation is my favorite. Ooh, people are going to kill me. Because you had awesome games like from Nintendo. Mario Galaxy, to me, was the #1 3D Mario game. Xenoblade Chronicles came that generation, which is, my favorite game of all time. The Last of Us came that generation. All the Uncharted games came that generation. So if you ask me, to me, PlayStation and Nintendo had a better year that generation, in my opinion. But anyway, I digress. My point to all that is that we understand that. And I think that's why I feel it's not a dig. I think he was just trying to explain it. But because we're still not done with the fanboy crap. We got some crossplay, and I'm going to show the trailer as we talk about the crossplay so people can see it to themselves, and they can also provide their opinion about the trailer. Hopefully Nintendo won't shut us down while I show their trailer. But anyway, with that said, Caleones, go ahead with the next piece of news, which is, of course, crossplay.
Okay, so when it comes to the crossplay, this is to signify the Better Together update that Minecraft got, which is, of course, that you can play the Nintendo Switch version of Minecraft not only with other Switch players, but you can play with the Xbox players, PC, and smartphones. And this is something that actually my kids did try with their cousins. So they were able to play using the smartphones, other Nintendo Switch units, and the tablet as well. But this one, yes, it is another clear dig at the combination of green and red, which is Microsoft and Nintendo being able to play together and being better together, and of course Sony not being part of that. And this is not the only one, because it's not only Minecraft. They had the big backlash when it came to Fortnite. Paladins is another game featured on the Switch that is not crossplay enabled, and of course you have many more games on the Xbox as well that are crossplay.
Tom Howard just stated that Fallout 76 won't have crossplay at this time because Sony it's not supported of it. Just adding to the news that just came out with Fortnite, Fallout 76. Go ahead, Calian. Sorry, I was just adding that to it.
Okay, and what I say is, like, for me, even though this it's clearly taking a dig at Sony and at the PlayStation for not being crossplay enabled with the other consoles, I see this one as a positive one, and I see this as something that is fully necessary so that crossplay can open up to the other consoles. What I do not like is how Sony sounds when they're trying to explain why they're not crossplay enabled, because they say, oh, basically we have the most consoles on the market, so we have millions of players that can already play together, and we don't need to have crossplay because there's already millions of PlayStations out there, so that should be enough. It's not verbatim, but that's basically what they're saying, and this is helping with those other people that are currently out there pushing Sony, pushing the PlayStation brand, and hoping that at some point they're going to open up and allow crossplay, which Fortnite last year, they actually proved that it's possible by, accidentally opening up crossplay between Xbox and PlayStation 4 players. And that lasted, I think it was a couple of hours in a day. They, closed it up, but it's something that is already able. It's enabled. They just need to basically turn it on so that they can, play together. So even though, yes, this could be turned into a whole Nintendo versus Sony kind of deal, I think it's something that is absolutely necessary so that there's continued change. And something that we have discussed time and time again on these podcasts is that usually the company that is least willing to change is the one that is number one on that generation. And this time, of course, at this moment, it is Sony that is number one.
Okay, just wanted to add to the clarification for what Sony comments. Shawn Layden, I was going to leave it for Force In Unison Live today, but since we're not having Force In Unison Live today, which is we can talk about it here and Get In and Get Out Nintendo podcast, but Shawn Layden stated that they're looking into it and they're hearing the fan base, and then they're looking for a way to make it happen in a way that is both beneficial for the player and for Sony, because it's a business. It is a business. The only thing I'm going to say is, and I've been in favor for crossplay, I think is the best to do. But this is all business, Caleones. And I want to clarify first phase on the part of people are confusing locking your Epic account with crossplay now. The thing that is run by Sony is that the account for Epic, that's something that you're using with multiple platforms. Like, I'll give you an example. If you're a PC player and you have all your things for Fortnite, and then you go to a friend's house, let me show you what I got, but the friend only has a PlayStation 4 and he connects his Epic account to the PlayStation 4, the account then gets locked, not on PC, but let's just say you didn't know. You said, oh, okay, cool. look at my items. And then you have a Switch, and then you have the Switch version. I'm like, oh, great. Like I did to PC to PlayStation, I'm going to move my account from PlayStation to Switch now to use it on the Switch. And you find out that you lost all your progression because now it's luck behind the PlayStation because you one day decided to take your friend and show him your Fortnite record or whatever you want to call it, right? There's that. Now, some people would say that, and the reason I'm laying all this, and I'm sorry if it's a long run, but I want to lay every fact on the table so people understand. In the history, you cannot take your Destiny record from Xbox and use it on PlayStation and continue your progress. That is never been acceptable. If you think that's a pipe dream, you're wrong. It's a business. Companies like Xbox and Sony want you to buy the loot boxes, the microtransactions on their accounts because that's how they get paid. It is a business. It's flat out true, right? That is it. Now, Epic somehow made it a way that you could transition things because it's an Epic. This is a third-party decision. That's where I believe there needs to be more discussion with Sony because it's a.
But also for the most part, it is a free-to-play game. So of course they want you to download and play the game so that then you can get all those things.
No, I'm not saying this is a third-party decision. That's what I'm saying. I'm with the gamers. I think Sony's wrong, clear, flat out wrong, with having to lock out your account once you connect to PlayStation without knowing that if you did that, if Sony would give you a warning and say, first before you connect to your PlayStation account, please remember that you won't be able to take your stuff to the Switch version or to a competitor version. You can say it multiple ways. I would have been more understanding to Sony and say, okay, Sony, that's fine. You're giving your players a forewarning from the start. If they want to play on PlayStation, they have to understand the rules that you're getting into. That is the problem that I have with this, is that there was no warning that you link your Epic account with this PlayStation version and then you cannot use it anymore to your Switch when you were allowed to do it for other cross-platform things. Let me put it that way, right, Caleones? That's what I say. Sony is flat out wrong. But I want to make sure cross-play and taking the account hostage is two different things, and people have been making the mistake and mixing them together because, again, new reporters, some people, to clarify, are just dumb, and they just don't know what they're fighting for. They're just, because they hate Sony, they just, let's attack it here. Be clear of what you're doing. Be clear of what you're fighting for. And Sony is wrong for locking out the account. I'm going to let you now speak on that piece specifically, Caleones, because I want to touch crossplay next in my next point. But go ahead, Caleones. Anything you want to add about locking out the account?
Well, about locking the account, it's inexcusable. There's no way to say that it's right. It is completely wrong. The only thing that, like you said, the only thing that would make it
cool drummer, welcome.
A little acceptable would be for there to be a big disclaimer whenever you log into it and say, hey, you're about to log into the PlayStation 4. If you log into this, you can only use the account with PlayStation. You can no longer play on blah, blah, blah. So they need to put a big disclaimer. That's the only thing that would make it understandable, but still not okay. But it's still wrong. I mean, everything that's happened is fully wrong. And because there was no disclaimer to say otherwise, Sony needs to find a way to unlock those accounts, at least make the exception for Fortnite. One, because it is the biggest game in the world right now, and two, because there was no way. I mean, you did not attempt to even relay that message to the players, so they understood what they were doing when they were logging into the PlayStation with the account. So now this is they're on version 4. They're going to be going to version 5 in a couple of weeks, like 2 weeks or so. And all those characters, all those dances, emotes, and everything that they have collected all this time, if they want to play on a different system, they're going to have to start all over. So now they're going to have one account for the PlayStation and then one account for everything else. Granted, if you have a PlayStation account, you can still play on smartphones, you can still play on PC, but you just cannot play on the Xbox or play on the Nintendo Switch. And that's where when it comes to let's say like if this was the Xbox 360 and PS3 era, where both of the companies were kind of like equals, they were neck and neck when it came to sales and everything. If people were deciding on which version to get, I mean, nine times out of 10, they will select the Xbox 360 version because you have more people that you can play with versus the PS3. Now, of course, there's a lot more PlayStations out there than Xboxes. It's probably to the point where for every two PlayStation 4s out there, there's one Xbox One. So it makes it easier for certain people to get the PlayStation version, but still, it's about the accounts being locked, no disclaimers or anything to warn you that that was going to happen. And that's why they need to do something to at least unlock them or at least give you a one-time opportunity to, take it out or just leave it there. Just, give them a chance to do it once so they can do with their account and with their investments what, players really want to do with it.
Agreed. 100%. Agreed. Okay, I want now to move to crossplay. I think that's a nice discussion to have. Again, I'm trying to be objective, not have these feelings back and forth or fighting, because it feels sometimes, Caleones, that some people just get on the train because of hate or because of just and not understanding the overall the business. Let me put disclaimer A. I agree 100% that crossplay is good for the gamers. It should be somehow available that you can play with much games because A, it extends the lifespan of the game. B, you can play with your friends, which sometimes, again, I have friends that are Xbox players. I'm a PlayStation player. I'm not going to be able to play games. If I was a multiplayer platform, this doesn't impact me that much, but I'm still support it because it's good for the gamer. I'm always going to support that it's good for the gamer. That is the case. It's always be the case. Now, a little bit of history lesson, though. Last generation, Sony was the one who wanted cross-platform play, and Microsoft said no, right? Reason for it was Sony was losing. Microsoft had the bigger install base at that time, and I know they closed the gap, but even if they close the gap in sales, I would say that Microsoft still have the larger install base in multiplayer games because a lot of people, that was their go-to platform for multiplayer games because of Xbox Live. It was a better system, a better service. But Sony was trying to say, oh, let's do crossplay because that way my games extend the life and more people spend money and time on our version of the game. And Microsoft said, no, we don't want to because we're winning. That is the case. And fine. And some people would say, well, but that doesn't matter. That was in the past. Things changed. No, I wanted to bring that data point, Caleones. To me, it's important. Because if you know the history, you understand where companies are coming from and their mindset. Whoever's making the dough is going to not be more consumer pro. That is just the case. Microsoft was the most anti-consumer, antiest consumer company last generation. But this generation, they're bending backwards because they're trying to gain all the fans that they lost. That is the case. That is going to happen. Sony last generation, after the PlayStation debacle, was like humble. And they're like, let's bend over. We're going to give you online for free. Nothing is going to be behind the paywall, X, Y, and Z. That is just normal business strategy. People have a small memory, and they forget quickly after a couple of months. It is a fact. Now, current state, Caleones. The company who's pushing the most is crossplay is Microsoft. But there's a reason behind the business. They're not doing it because they love you. Because it's for the gamer. No. They're doing it because it's
actually that's Sony's slogan for the game.
Yeah, anyway. It is not for the gamer. They're doing it because they're trying to become the next Steam, Caleones. They're trying to become the next Netflix. And they want their platform and games at most consoles as possible. That is the end game. Nintendo needs to watch out to get in bed with Microsoft too bad, because you're going to get a big surprise later. Because something that, again, because people don't research and they don't find the information. Something that people don't know. Would you know, Caleones, that the developer of Ark, the game, wanted to do cross-platform play. This has just happened a couple of months ago with Microsoft and the Steam players. You see what happened? Microsoft said no. But Microsoft are the good guys now. And you know why Microsoft said no to doing crossplay with Steam? Is because they're pushing crossplay on the Windows platform. So people go to the Windows store and buy in the game on the PC platform, where Steam is the king right now of digital distribution for PC. I bet you didn't know that, Caleones, right? I bet you didn't know that Microsoft denied cross-platform play between Steam players and Windows players. Did you know that, Caleones?
Well, me personally, yes, I do know it. But I mean, it's something that is not well known, and also it does illustrate how we say, we keep saying like, if you're in control, you're the one that's going to push for certain things. I know that Microsoft, when it comes to that, because some of those games, the games that they offer, they are not only games available on the Xbox, but they're also available on the PC. Pretty much their entire first party library is available on the PC as well, except for a couple of titles. But yes, that is another illustration of what companies do to try to gain an advantage or sales, or just increase, their volume. But I mean, something I will say, I know this is not a Microsoft podcast. I'm still surprised that there's no Steam app on the Xbox. That's something that should have happened already. So you can download, like Steam games to the Xbox. I don't know what's happening, but it should be available there somehow.
Well, but anyway, I was just trying to make a point. It is a Nintendo podcast, but today this topic touches everything, and we don't have Force In Unison live this week, so it's, I think, good to bring it here in this podcast. But I just wanted to show you guys that companies don't do stuff because they're your friends, because you feel attached to them, because they're your family. You have to start thinking about these companies as a piece of plastic. You know why I play Nintendo and Sony, Caleones? Because they make the games that I like. It is not because, oh my God, this company does this or this company does that, or they're the devil. Every company has bullshit that you don't like. Every company has stuff that you really want to choke them and say.
Actually, you're wrong on one account, because you won't play any EA games.
True, but I don't like EA games, and I don't support bullshit. That is bad bullshit, though. That is bad. Loot boxes and stuff like that. That is bad, though. But anyway, aside from that, every company has something that you want to kill them. Right now, Fortnite is a free-to-play game, right, Caleones? On the Xbox, you cannot play Fortnite unless you have an Xbox Live account. You don't need that on the PlayStation and Nintendo. That is wrong. People should be fighting that alongside Sony's account for holding the Epic account hostage. You need to fight that. Right now, you're a YouTuber, Caleones, right? You consider yourself that someday we may be able to get this channel somewhere good enough where we want to make money out of it, right? I'm not denying. I'm not going to lie here and tell you guys, oh, we're not here. We like to do this, but we also want to grow it.
That's
right?
That's why I said, that we're sporting the Colin and Gray haircuts, because we're trying to get there.
Yeah, we're trying to get there. But my point to that is Nintendo is the most anti-company against YouTubers out of them. So someday this channel grows and we can make some money. We won't be able to. We have to stop playing Nintendo games, Caleones. That is a fact. Every company has something that you have to kill them. You can't just blindly just close your eyes and accept everything that they say and just take it. You have to fight for every piece. We need to fight Nintendo where the YouTube policies are wrong. We need to fight Microsoft against the Fortnite being behind a paywall. And we need to fight Sony against crossplay and the account being held hostage for Epic. Has to be equal. That was the point that I was bringing. But aside from that, crossplay, it is a business decision. Sony doesn't do it because it's a business. Microsoft doesn't do it with Steam because it's a business. And Nintendo has to watch out. Don't get too much in bed with Microsoft because they're going to be the first ones, if they can, pull the rug under. You guys have to also understand, Sony and Nintendo will never partner in anything. I don't want to get into the messy history that they have before, but thanks to Nintendo doing, Sony was born, or PlayStation was born. So there's a messy history there. They're never going to get partners, never expected, which is fine. I don't care. They can fight, take dicks at each other, all they want. I'm going to play their games, and that's what matters to me. That's why I love Sony and Nintendo and their games that they bring me. But my point to that is Microsoft is doing what they're doing because their end game is world domination. No, I'm joking. Their end game is building Xbox to be the next Steam, to be the next Netflix. Anything to add of all that I said, Caleones, in there? I know I'm speaking a lot, But I do really feel that this is a lot of topics that we need to cover. There's a lot of things that I wanted to make people clear. Information is power, people. So I want to make sure you guys have the information. But go ahead, Caleones.
Well, I mean, I guess when it comes to Nintendo, their message history actually goes farther back than their creation of the PlayStation, or the Nintendo PlayStation, which was what it was originally going to be. It was actually how much they would charge for cartridges, for third-party companies, so they could, publish their games on Nintendo systems. That's when Nintendo lost their good graces with third-party companies, and that is something that they have been suffering up until this day. Back then, you had the Nintendo, you had the Super Nintendo. They really didn't have any more options to release games. Yes, there were other systems available, but if you really wanted to sell your game, you had to release it on the Nintendo console. That changed when the PlayStation came out, which was supposed to be the Nintendo PlayStation, but Nintendo, they decided to just go the cartridge route so that it could read games faster, because they felt CDs were slower, and ultimately it made it possible because on CDs you can store more information, you can store FMV, you can store music, and you can have more content. So, example, a game like Resident Evil. How many cartridges would you have needed to have that one game, even though eventually it released on the Nintendo 64? But if you wanted to have a cartridge, and cartridges are, they're much more expensive than it came to CDs, especially back then, because CDs you could get them for maybe 3 cents, 5 cents, or something like that. Cartridges that were more expensive. So that's what it went. It wasn't the Nintendo. They did it. They still did it in a bad way because they were close to being finished with the product, and then they backed out. But the reason they backed out from it is because they felt that it was going to be bad for the gamers, having to experience longer load times and things like that. So they were not doing it for the wrong reasons, but it backfired really bad, and it created the PlayStation monster. But like you said on the previous topic, now that they're more even, it's when we're finally getting the fun of taking the jabs, taking the digs, and competing on a more even level. And when it comes to crossplay, I guess, like you said, good for business, bad for gamers, and of course, we understand both of the sides. I will always try to take the side of the gamers, even though I do understand the business side, and that companies ultimately, what their purpose is to make money. That's what they want you to do. That's why Nintendo, in the last couple of weeks, they had to convince their investors and of what was happening, because value of the stock was dropping. Nintendo knows what they're doing. I'm pretty sure they said certain explanations and certain things that we don't know about. But investors don't know the full story of what Nintendo will be bringing, what they're going to be showing. But ultimately, what moves and makes those companies continue to survive is the money. And I know I think it was last week or so, there were rumors about Sony being sold off to a different company. And again, they said the same thing, that if that happens, more than likely the PlayStation brand or the department would be taken out of Sony and just become its own company by itself, because that's one of the few places, unless they keep releasing Spider-Man movies, that's actually making them money and giving a profit. And I'm looking forward to that.
If they let Marvel keep doing the Spider-Man movie for them, they'll be fine. But keep going.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to the Spider-Man animated movie by the end of this year. But either way, I would love for crossplay to be available on every single platform, be it PC, with Microsoft, be it Steam, be it PlayStation, the Switch, Xbox One, and on all of those. But like you said, we need to make a clear distinction of crossplay versus Fortnite account being locked out, because yes, it is bad, but it is clearly not the same thing. But still, for the players, I would love for everybody to have crossplay.
That's fine. I'm gonna go through a lot of things in the chat. I think it's interesting you guys are joining, but Cool Drummer, thank you. He said that we're having a good conversation today. That's good. Once in a while, we make good debates here, and this is, I think, was a great debate to have. Of course, he also stated that I'll give him credit. He said that I was making great points, which, of course, I always do. Of course, ex-Gunner saying the Sony's the queen.
Just like Shawn Layden.
Of course, I should have Shawn Layden's job, and I'll do a better job in communicating with my fans than what he does sometimes. I'm sorry saying. But yeah, ex-Gunner saying Sony's the queen because Cool Drummer was saying that Nintendo. He remembers how Nintendo was the king, which was a long time ago. Of course, ex-Gunner saying a Nintendo beer, that I would love that. Of course, I would love some Nintendo beer. I would buy a Nintendo beer. And what would keep it here and save it? Who wouldn't want some Nintendo beer?
And it would be especially the best if it's made by Nintendo, because we know how Nintendo and first parties are.
Yeah, they're tied with Sony's. Anyway, in the last 6 years, Caleones, historically, you guys have the best IPs of all time. I mean, right now, I'm in behind the paywall because you guys own freaking Xenoblade Chronicles right now. And I love that game so much that I've been playing up the ass and I'm making more videos because that game is so freaking awesome. And I have to give credit's due.
I know. And I want to tell people, Dantes, he was supposed to wait until December. He said he was going to wait until December to start playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2 again. He just could not help it. Yes, it is a Nintendo franchise, but Dantes loves himself some Xenoblade Chronicles.
I love Nintendo franchises. I would say that if there's one console that always pulls me out after, give you an example, and this is why I mean that you guys cannot be just in love with one side or the other, whatever. When Sony had the hack, and I always bring this story, but it is the case, I was pissed at Sony that they put my information out there for someone to take it and do whatever they want to. And you know, Caleones, I'm a private person. I like to keep my stuff. I thought that was offensive. I thought until Sony would not show that they learned from it, that I would not play a console. I did not play the PlayStation again for a full year. I was playing Bayonetta, which is the only thing that I regret right there, and I stopped playing Bayonetta and said, nope, I ain't touching your console. You don't deserve it. I'm not buying another game. You know what I did? I had what I call my Zelda year. I went back, loved it, played every Zelda game ever made in history, going back from the original Zelda all the way to the Wind Waker at that time. Awesome. And that's where Nintendo is always going to be there for me because Nintendo has one of the strongest IPs, Mario Galaxy. Mario Galaxy. If I put my top 5 games of all time, probably 3 of them, Caleones, are going to be Nintendo games. Because Mario Galaxy 2 is a masterpiece of video game making. You can't deny that Nintendo knows how to make gameplay, and they're the masters at doing it. And Mario Galaxy 2 is just a perfect example of a game that I just had so much damn fun that I did 100% it multiple times. And if you play it on the Dolphin, it's even better, guys. If you have a strong PC, play on the Dolphin in HD. That's how you see that game looks beautiful. Just saying. Go ahead, Karen. I think you wanted to say something.
No, I was just going to say that it seems like we lied to you guys because we said we were just going to have a few topics, but it seems like we're going to have to do a rapid fire in a little bit because we're at 53 minutes and we're, well, I mean, on the second piece of news still.
Hey, it's the 2 strongest topics to start the week for sure. And I think it's good so you guys know our history with gaming. I know a lot of people know my Sony side. You can go to PSN Trophies. You can see all the games that I platted. I have over 126 plats. This year, because of Nintendo, I don't have as many. But as you guys know the history, there's other IPs of Nintendo that I love. A lot of people don't give credit to Luigi's Mansion. Luigi's Mansion is just sweet, Caleones. Hopefully that Luigi Mansion on the Switch. Pikmin. Something that I thought originally looked so stupid, Caleones, is addictive as hell when you're trying to go through all those puzzles and trying to record the Pikmin. Every time a Pikmin die, you feel it, guys. You're like, and they make that sound. You feel it. And of course, Metroid. You have to give props to Metroid. Metroid is an awesome franchise. Put retro on the map. So anyway, just giving a heads up. I admit Nintendo has great IPs, and that's why Smash is so beloved. Sony tried to copy the formula. It failed miserably. But because why Nintendo formula work, aside from probably the gameplay, Sakurai does a good job in the gameplay, is because the Nintendo characters are just more beloved. Pure and simple. Well, anything to add, Caleones, before we move to the next topic?
Well, I mean, since we're getting a new Smash Brothers this year, are we gonna get a new PlayStation All Stars?
No, unless you make it on Dreams. Anyway, Caleones, mini rapid fire. I'm not saying it's rapid fire. I know it's close to 1 hour. We haven't had a show in 2 weeks, and this kind of merged into Force In Unison Live. We need to get in and get out together. But go ahead with the next piece of news.
Okay, so well, the next piece of news is actually Nintendo. They went into just trying to see how people are playing the Nintendo Switch. Of course, you can play it on the TV. When docked, you can play it on either tabletop or handheld mode, which they count that as both of those as handheld as well. But it seems like when it comes to the split of how many hours people have played the Nintendo Switch docked versus how many hours they played it, like in handheld mode, it's pretty close to even. Like the split is almost 50-50. So there's no real preference on how people are using it. And it seems like people are enjoying it there's the same way. So anything that tells you?
I am more of a dock person. I like to play on the big screen TV, Caleones. But I cannot deny the fact, right, that if you're an RPG player, the Switch is just the perfect damn console. And I'm telling you now, because I was, making my new blade stronger, Shulk and Fiora, having it portable it's just way better because you can do other stuff where you just grind away and make your character stronger. That is something that I would say, I'm saying going forward, unless you have a plat on a game that I really love, please RPGs all come to the Switch because they're the perfect platform for this, and it just makes grinding passable. I guess you could put it that way, because I'm not a big fan of grinding, Caleones, but if you're doing other stuff while you grind with the portability of the Switch, it's a perfect combination.
But how many hours have you already put into Xenoblade?
375 hours, I think, something to that extent.
And the expansion is still not here. I mean,
but the expansion is probably gonna have its own clock, I'm guessing, right? Because it's a standalone game though, which I just reserved the expansion. But I thought it probably has its own clock, Caleones, because it's got standalone game basically, in my opinion. But I also, for the peeps out there, I also bought Mario Tennis Aces. So my son wanted it, so I'm buying it for him. So there you go. I bought 2 Switch games yesterday. And Octopath Traveler is coming soon. Guys, remember that I'm planning to buy that game too. I want to have it. I want to support it. I may not play it as soon as it comes out because there's so much stuff to do right now. But Octopath Traveler, I want to remind people that game looks good. Support it. We need more games like that. And a little bit of a cheap plug too. Guys, go to the Force In Unison gaming channel and see Caleones upload the walkthrough for Ys 8. I've been watching it, and I've been interested, and I'm kind of feeling like playing that damn game too. And I saw that the PlayStation has it a plat, and I'm like, should I play on PlayStation? But I was thinking, and this is how crazy it is right now, I was thinking of buying the game digitally for PlayStation to get the plat, but I was going to buy it physically on the Switch to keep it long term. Again, I'm a physical guy. I want to keep it. That way on the Switch, I can play it after I'm done with the plat. Who cares? I can always play it on the Switch, on the go, easy to travel, X, Y, and Z. But go watch that video, guys. Ys?
Yeah, Ys 8.
Ys 8 looks really good. Maybe Caleones, we'll do the next Get In and Get Out. You can do like a full review of the game for us. But anything to add about Ys 8?
Well, first I'll say the Octopath Traveler is going to be out on July 13th. And if you guys haven't played it, there's actually, I believe, 2 different demos on the eShop. So you can download the demo, you can play it, experience the game. It's a great throwback to the old, Squaresoft RPGs, like, the Final Fantasy VI and the Chrono Triggers and those. The presentation looks amazing. How you do the fighting, the magic and things like that. It's a highlight of the game. And it seems like it's going to be a pretty sizable journey. From what we see is that you have 8 characters, and those 8 characters, the world starts expanding when those characters start, branching out, through their journey. So it's one of those games that, if it does great, then we can probably see not only newer games with the same engine, but also ports of older games using the same engine as well. So, I mean, who wants to see Final Fantasy VI or Xenogears or those being brought to the Nintendo Switch utilizing that engine? I'm one of them, and I would jump on it. And I'm thinking of, still haven't gotten it reserved because I've been mulling in between getting just the normal version of the game or getting the special edition. I still get the Best Buy discount, so I'm not sure which one I'm going to end up getting. Might get the special edition because of everything that comes with it. But that's Octopath Traveler. And as far as Eve's 8, something that you guys, that is hard to portray because there's no commentary on the video. I'm just doing the full journey because it's an RPG, so that way you guys can see it, can experience it. It's the battle system. The battle system is actually, I still haven't tapped it fully because I've been doing mostly combos with a single character, but I've been practicing offline and not by progressing the story, just doing the fighting. And it's actually more complicated than you think it is because you have control of 3 characters at one time. You can shuffle in between different characters that you can have, but you control those 3. Not only can you swap between the characters on the fly, but you can use different different combinations of combos and power-ups. And if you know how to master that, it is very, very satisfying. It's not an easy game to learn at first, so it's going to take some time for you to learn it. But it is, if you enjoy the Final Fantasy X, the those type of games, it's not an overly complicated story, but it still has a nice story, satisfying story. They did run an update on the first day that the game launched on the Switch, which fixed some of the slowdown and the pop-ups when it comes to the graphics themselves. But the highlight for me is the battle system. It may not be as good as the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 battle system because, as Dantes said, that's possibly his favorite battle system of all time, but it is still a great one, and I do recommend you guys, if you get the chance to play Eve's 8, go ahead and do so.
Beautiful. We'll have a review for you guys pretty soon once Caleones completes or feels ready to do a review for sure. Let me know, and we can build something nice for that. But Caleones, let's go to the next piece of news.
Okay, so and the next one is it's kind of like a change of generation within Nintendo, and this is because Kimishima finally stepped down as Nintendo's president, and now we have Shuntaro Furukawa taking over. So of course, everybody knows that when Iwata passed away, Kimishima was the one that took over. What he was in charge of was basically the transition of the Wii U over to the Switch and making sure to lay a good foundation for the Switch, a solid foundation. It seems like he has met and exceeded those expectations. Now we have a younger guy in Furukawa taking over, and even though the vision is still going to stay pretty much the same, but there's some new ideas that we'll be learning later on that he will be implementing as well. So let's see. I'm excited where Nintendo and the Switch is going to be headed with him. Of course, it's not only about the games because we have mobile games already out. We have even more mobile games coming out with the Mario Kart one, possibly being the next one. Then we have in 2020 the Universal Studios, the Super Nintendo World at Universal Studios Japan, and that they finally confirmed that it's not only going to be in Japan, it's going to be in the US as well. So Universal Studios Orlando, you can expect for it to be there as well. And of course, the other thing is the Super Mario animated movie by Illumination, which is the same people that do the Despicable Me and the Minions movie. So that's another one. So is Nintendo fully embracing other media available? So it's not just going to be about the games. And it seems like Furukawa is going to be the one to spearhead and guide Nintendo as they make that transition to all those other forms of media.
The only thing I'm going to add, I think you said it perfectly. I'm not going to add much so we can move. But Kimishima, thank you. You did your job. I think Nintendo is in a good place. I know the news, Caleones brought it up about all the investor issues. I'm not concerned at all because it's up and down. It's always going to be up and down. investors. Nintendo's is going through a rough spot right now, but they're gonna go back up once they get the next big hit or whatever. But anyway, but that said, still Kimishima did a great job while he was in charge, and I think the Switch, you can see the success of the Switch. It's a lot of credit to him for sure, and yeah, you have to give credit to the guy who stated from the start, guys, the Wii U is gonna be a failure. I would not put that system out. He said it. He called it. That means that Kimishima knew his shit, and he was seeing it from afar. So you have to give credit to someone who have that foresight, and hopefully the new president will have that same type of foresight and doesn't live in a bubble, which is, I think, a problem that every company goes through. Sometimes you get involved in your bubble and you forget foresight in the future. So we shall see. But congratulations to the new president of Nintendo.
Yeah, and that's something that we saw because like Shigeru Miyamoto, of course, with his success and all the all-time great IPs that he created, he was getting a more of a hands-on approach and decision-making when it came to systems, Wii U being one of those. So he's also taking a step back, not fully. He's still going to oversee certain games, and he better be working on Pikmin 4 because I'm still waiting on that one. But
I do have to say, Caleones, dude, what you just said, though, brought a discussion, small discussion. Let's keep rolling, whatever. We haven't done a show in a while. But Shigeru, even though he's a legend, even though he's one of the best developers of all time, he was living in a bubble too. If you see how Star Fox turned out, was because of his lack of own foresight. Instead of making a really damn good Star Fox game, he just pushed that gimmick and really caused that game to be any good at all. And of course the Wii U, you see what it is. And some design choices in games. Hopefully he can step back, just give advice to the next generation and let people build new IPs like Splatoon 2. Make something new out there that can be successful. So Nintendo can't just depend on the big three anymore. They have to depend on other. And Splatoon now has become kind of in the big three, in my opinion. But anyway, what I was saying is that's a perfect example. You brought him up. We love the guy. You write for a site who isn't named after the guy. But you have to admit he was in a bubble. Hopefully he got pulled out of the bubble. And again, hopefully the new president can help people who are talented like Shigeru be out of the bubble, think outside of the box, and make better games in the future. So, and yeah, I'm waiting also for Pikmin 4.
Yeah, and that's something that I'll say, like, regardless of what Nintendo has done with Miyamoto, they have always been great at promoting talent from within. And it seems like in the last 5 years or so, they've been more conscious about it. And that's why we're seeing the Splatoons, we're seeing the ARMS, and seeing those type of games coming out. So we will be seeing more of those coming out. But going over to the next piece of news. And it seems
X-Gunner said, Shining Resonance Refrain will launch in North America and Europe for the Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, on Steam by July 10th. You guys should do a playthrough of it. We do have a play full right now. We'll do our best if we can keep as many games as possible, but that is one other. That's a big game too. So
since we don't get paid for our podcast, at least not yet. No, but since we don't get paid for this, I have to rely on getting discounts on the game, getting the games when I can, or in the case of Eve's Aid, I actually got it as a review code from NIS America. Shout out to them. Thank you. That's why you guys have been able to see it on our channel. And like I said, shortly I will be doing a review as well for the game. But yes, we have to rely on certain people to get certain games to be able to show them here. At Arena of Valor is another one that you may have seen popped up on a video from the beta. That was another code that was sent in. So that's how we can show certain games. And before they come out, because the first, one of the first playthrough videos for Eve's Aid was before the release day of the game. If you guys did see the date on that one, but I wish we could get all the games in here. We need to get some sort of Nintendo contact, so they can provide us with certain keys
we're too small yet. Things. We're too small yet, Caleones. But we wish we could play all the games. We have day jobs to do. And my backlog, I blame Xenoblade, but my backlog looks like shit this year.
Yeah, and you cannot expect Dantes to play too many games because he's put in almost 400 hours on Xenoblade Chronicles 2, over 300 hours on Zelda Breath of the Wild, over 100 hours on Super Mario Odyssey,
and over 50 on Mario and Rabbids. That was the surprise. I never expected to put over damn 50 hours of Mario and Rabbids game. That is crazy. I was like, damn. And that Donkey Kong expansion pack looked really good. But I was like, damn, I can't right now. But anyway, I want to give a shout out to Ubisoft too. That expansion pack for Mario and Rabbids looks good. If you like the first game, I think you're going to love that expansion pack. It almost looks like a standalone game too. So the Nintendo's killing it with those expansions in a sense. Anyway, okay, Cali, let's go to the next piece of news.
Okay, and this one is a piece of discussion that we've seen since last year. How there was, I guess Phil Spencer had made certain comments where their direction was getting more towards multiplayer games. They were not giving, as much importance when it came to first-party games. And this year at E3, in an interview with IGN, they asked Reggie Fils-Aimé about first-party games on the Switch, and if we can continue to see those experiences. And basically his response was that a core proposition with Nintendo Switch is the ability to be playing a game and having an experience, seeing someone looking over at what you're doing, and the ability to just pop out a controller, hand it to someone, and to jump into a multiplayer experience really is a key part of the proposition. A multiplayer experience are not exclusive, so we will still have these wonderful single-player experiences like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. The ability to have a multiplayer experience was a key part of the thinking for the Nintendo Switch. So, I mean, of course, the Nintendo Switch, it comes with the two Joy-Con controllers. You can detach them, hand it to somebody else. A game like Mario Kart is a perfect example of a game that you can play, with someone else on the system itself. But, of course, Nintendo has lived and thrived year after year on single player experiences. The two highest rated games.
Please don't change.
and of course, even though they're asking Reggie, I know that he was going to say that yes, Nintendo will continue with the single player experiences because right now that's the bread and butter of Nintendo.
Yep, that's the bread and butter. Don't change, Nintendo, please. I think if there's one console, honestly, and I'm being truthful, that I'll be playing on later life cycle is Nintendo, because you guys probably gonna be the only ones still giving me physical games, still giving me single player experiences. We don't know what's gonna happen with Microsoft and Sony. They may turn into just a streaming box at some point. So I expect Nintendo to be the holdout for the longest possible time. Nintendo, just keep on trucking, keep on trucking. Anyway, Karen, let's go with the next piece of news.
Okay, and the next one is basically Nintendo addressing why Sony and Microsoft don't necessarily cater to a younger crowd. This is again Fils-Aimé, he was talking to the Star, and he said that we are happy that they don't, meaning that Sony and Microsoft, that they don't cater to a younger crowd. It's been an incredibly important market because the kid who's 5 or 6 today is going to be 12 or 13. And not all that many years later, 18 or 19. And when you have an affinity for Pokemon or the Legend of Zelda series or Mario Kart or Super Mario Brothers, that affinity carries with you. So, you can understand this to certain levels. And of course, there's a full cycle when it comes to games. So you start when you're younger, more than likely, you're going to be more prone to playing Nintendo games because those are the games that as parents or adults, you see that are better for kids. Of course, those kids are going to grow and love those games, so they're going to continue to play those games, but they're going to be introduced to games like The Last of Us and more mature type games. So they're going to be gravitating to those as well as they get older. But those kids eventually they get married, they have kids, and the cycle will continue where they go back and the first console that they're going to get for those kids more than likely will be a Nintendo console. So in the end, it's not something where Nintendo is worried about, Sony or Microsoft getting the teenage or the bigger crowd, or that Sony or Microsoft is worried that Nintendo is getting the younger crowd because one, we have the ability of getting more than one console. I mean, it's not something where you buy one and you have to stay with that one and that's it. And two, that depending on how you grow and you will be levitating towards those. At one point, you're going to be Nintendo, then Sony, Microsoft, and then vice versa, and repeating it over and over again. So it's just the circle of life of video game consoles.
Yeah, I was gonna add a little bit of a history lesson for my gaming. I started with Nintendo, same as Caleones, and you can see that. I mean, Caleones has a huge affinity for Nintendo. He still hasn't forgot about it. I'm joking. But that's the same. I was, but at the same time, when we were growing up, I was a little bit more willing to step outside of the box than Caleones. And what I mean with that was Sega Genesis came out. It was a more adult-oriented console. You know, you were buying it because of Sonic or Mortal Kombat Blood or all the sport games. At that time, we were really into sports games.
But I want to say Nintendo would have sent an update, a patch to add Blood to Mortal Kombat back then, but they had no online, so that's why it wasn't possible.
Okay, sure. My point to that is that, you know, and I became a multi-console owner. I had Nintendo, but at one point, and Caleones and I joking around, people, we don't take this seriously. Don't get scared if you see us back and forth on Twitter having some fun. It is part of life. But, you know, joking around, I was telling him that Sega Genesis was better than the Super NES, which is a bunch of bullshit. I admit what I was saying there was BS. Super Nintendo was a way better console than the Sega Genesis. Let me clarify that flat out. But it was fun to have that banter back and forth. And, of course, PlayStation came along, and I gravitated to PlayStation. I was like, I'm done with Nintendo. At one point, I said, I'm done with Nintendo. And then you saw that big-ass plumber in 3D, and you're like, damn, I'm gonna have to buy an N64. So Nintendo always stuck around, even though I was moving into a PlayStation platform, because it was a more adult-oriented platform. Not denying you were getting experiences like Metal Gear Solid, like Xenogears, stuff that was more mature. Was not available on the Nintendo platform. We'd heard them, and my affinity for them was a little bit lost, right? I did not buy the Game Boy Advance. It was the only main Nintendo console that I have not bought. Kind of, so at that time, again, I was like, then.
And Dantes even bought the Virtual Boy.
I did not buy the Virtual Boy. No, hell no.
Well, you got it.
No.
You owned it.
No, I did never own it.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did, because I would go over to your house and play it over there. You had the Virtual Boy.
Okay, you must be thinking of someone else. Anyway, I'm not gonna fight that one right now. But my point to that is that by the time GameCube came around, right? You finishing college, X, Y, and Z, you start seeing, like, you start appreciating, to Caleone's point, the cycle of life, Nintendo games again. I was like, okay, I now understand. I have an affinity for them. They were my first console. But I can step away because a lot of kids, and you can see in the comment section, because they're 18, 19, and they're cool. They're like, oh, I don't want to play kiddie crap. I don't want to play Nintendo games because that's for kids. You guys have to understand that gaming is about fun and gameplay. Yes, graphics are great. I appreciate Sony for pushing the medium. The games that they're making right now are just the best looking games in the industry. But I also appreciate me sitting down and playing Mario Odyssey and just having like a big smile on my face as I go through the forest with that sweet-ass jazz funk music going through in Mario Odyssey. So that's where you start getting respect for Nintendo and loving and saying Nintendo makes great games. You need to keep playing them and never goes away. I play games at that time. Once my take that away, that stupidity away, play games like Pikmin when I'm adult. Who thought I would play a Pikmin when I was finishing high school, starting college, Caleones? Weird-ass game. Damn fun game once you start playing Pikmin. So if you haven't played Pikmin because it looks skitty, play damn Pikmin. That game is more hard than a lot of hardcore games out there. I'm telling you guys. Just giving you a heads up. So I could easily play my Devil May Cry, but I could easily play my Pikmin on the side, Caleones. Anyway, no long rant, just saying, I agree with Caleones. It's a cycle, it's a circle. Sometimes you leave because you feel you're too cool for Nintendo, but sometimes you come back too because, honestly, you can't deny it. They make good goddamn games. Go ahead, Caleones.
Well, and we're going over to our last piece of news, and this is a very short one. It was just that, E3, yes, it's about competition. Yes, it's about the consoles trying to one-up the other ones, have a better show, have a better showing, and show fans, and how to how their future is going to be, what they can expect in years to come. But on this one is the other side that most people see, and is that some people, some gamers, some developers, they're gamers, they're developers because of games that somebody else has done. And in this one, of course, we're going back to Shigeru Miyamoto and Neil Druckmann, which is, like from Naughty Dog, showing how exciting he is to have met and taking a picture with Miyamoto. Of course, Miyamoto is somebody that has motivated developers, gamers for generations, for over 30 years now, ever since the first Donkey Kong game. It came out in arcades. And of course, Neil Druckmann with his favorite person shown in here. So yes, we have a bunch of console wars. People like to debate. They like to, just prop their favorite one up, step on the ones that they don't like. But at the end of the day, we all are fans of gaming and of the history of gaming as well.
Well said. Nothing to add, Caleones, because it's 1:20. Today we're going overtime. Hardcore overtime. Well, Caleones, that was a lot of fun. A lot of discussion today. But it's time to go to our favorite store. If I wanted to know the latest and greatest game coming to the Nintendo shop, which is the store I would like to go to, Caleones?
Is the Shigeru's supermarket, finally with over 1,000 games.
Go ahead, Caleones. What games came out in the last 2 weeks? Just keep it to the big ones. Don't say every game that came out. Just keep it to the big ones.
Well, I'll give it a try. It's only like 30 games that we haven't mentioned.
Keep it to the big ones. Big ones.
Okay, so you can say that the Lost Child is one of them. We have Minecraft. The new version came out as well. The physical version. It was only available digitally before. We had Eve's Aid, Legend of Dana. Mario Tennis is another one. Mario Tennis Aces, another one that finally released. The Blob, which is a Wii game, came out as well. And that's another one that I will be doing a review on because they had given me the review code for that one. MotoGP was another one that came out. Limbo and Inside, two great indie games. They are available now on the eShop. And of the two latest ones that just came out this week are Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, and Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy.
Perfect. A lot of games, Caleones. Nice couple of weeks. Couple of big third-party games down there coming out for the Switch. Support it so you can see more. You said Wolfenstein too, right?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. That was a big game that came out too, so hopefully it'll do well. And Bethesda keeps supporting the Nintendo Switch. Yes, he's lagging a little bit. MR Mega Charcer. Thank you for joining us. He's been lagging a little bit, but he upgraded the internet. I don't know why he's lagging today a little bit, but it's fine. Well, he lives.
Yeah, we're having a thunderstorm over here, so that's why.
Okay, that makes more sense. Anyway, Caleones, we're done with the news today. We're done with everything today. I think it's time to end this show and do that ending. But with that, of course, I always do that ending, but with a little bit of Xenoblade music. There it is in the background, baby. I want to thank everybody for coming through and watching the Get In and Get Out Nintendo podcast, episode 50. 50, Caleones, the big 50, right here at the Force In Unison gaming channel. Please remember to subscribe, like, and comment so you can make these two crazy MFs happy. Also remember, you can get this podcast on SoundCloud and iTunes for free. Rate us over there so you can show us some love. Also, go to the description box below because at least I can say the PlayStation Monday will continue this Monday. I will be playing Detroit Become Human this week. So I'll be back to Detroit. I did God of War last time. Back to Detroit this time. So Caleones, I need that thumbnail for Detroit Become Human. Just giving you a heads up. Also, Force In Unison Live should be back next week. We may do some restructuring again. Stay tuned. We're going to have more news about the future of this channel. full-on blown rework is coming through. So caution, work is being done. Also, go to our Facebook page called @Force In Unison Gaming. And finally, and Dantes says finally, go to chiguerosnews.com and give some click and love to my boy Caleones. With all that said, thank you again for joining us, and long live Nintendo. Good night, everybody.